In March of 1997, 39 members of the religious group, Heaven's Gate, participated in a group suicide event that they believed would result in a ride on a UFO following the Hale-Bopp comet. Several of these members, including the leader, Marshall Applewhite, were found to have been castrated as well. This bizarre behavior has puzzled the medical and psychiatric world for centuries. My mother-in-law is a retired junior high teacher, current school counselor, author of children's books, poet, and has authored her own autobiography entitled Ripples. She was subjected to cult abuse as a young adult. I'm an educated 41-year-old pre-law student. I was subjected to cult behavior a few years ago. We both have a fascination for understanding what drew us into this bizarre behavior. And we realized we were searching for acceptance and answers, just as many humans are. Have you ever wondered what humans are here for? Where does God come from? Do you ever feel like no one understands you or the questions you have? Those are the very thoughts that lead people to cultic organizations every day. My goal today is to expose this bizarre cultic groups, the behavior, the leaders, and the followers as well, is to offer help for anyone who may feel like their loved ones are being subjected to cult behavior. Let's begin by establishing a working definition of the word cult. A simple search on the internet will bring up numerous definitions and has been the subject of debate among mental health professionals, historians, and of course, numerous religious leaders. I believe Tennessee State University defines it the clearest on their website dedicated to cults in America. They define it as a group or movement held together by a shared commitment or charismatic leader or ideology. There are many different motives behind forming a cult. Often they are religious, but we do see them forming for self-help or radical political agendas, such as Charles Manson's Helter Skelter and David Koresh's Waco followers. Now that we have established common ground with what a cult is, let's move on to discuss the bizarre characteristics and behaviors of these cults, their leaders, and followers. In his study entitled Unrecognized Charisma, George Grissides mentions that cults or new religious movement leaders generally claim special divinity, special powers, and prestige placed upon them from a higher power or supreme source. We can safely assume they're narcissistic. For instance, Joseph Smith, founder of the Latter-day Saints or Mormon religion, is considered the prophet, which means he has the number to heaven, and to get through, you have to go through him. This practice is still carried out when a prophet passes away, a new one is elected. Another leader, L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Scientology religion, claimed to be able to ride horses and break bucking broncos in as a toddler. More claims from L. Ron Hubbard was that he was the blood brother of the Blackfoot Indians and that he studied the mind from Sigmund Freud's own student. In the fundamental Latter-day Saints, a branch that split off from the Latter-day Saints, Warren Jeffs is the prophet and a Texas Department of Corrections inmate with a life plus 20-year sentence for pedophilia and child molestation. Utah's Deseret News reports that despite losing large numbers of followers, Warren Jeffs still has a large group that he controls through his brother Lyle Jeffs, who visits and delivers messages from jail. So far, Warren Jeffs has banned marriages, sex, pregnancies and children, toys, TVs, radio, and internet, just to name a few. At this point, one is generally wondering why someone would blindly follow narcissistic cult leaders. Dr. Janja Lalick, a former cult member, now author and cult expert, as well as founder of cultresearch.org, explains that thought reform, or brainwashing, is a process used to draw in and control cults and members. Cults promise prospective members that the group has the answers to life's biggest questions or problems, and that one must simply follow the group doctrine. Lalick explains that along with the doctrine, the group will have a required recipe for change that shapes a new member into a true believer. This leads the member to be dependent upon the group for behavior and validity, which turns the person into a loyal representative for the group. Some of these tactics include control of information and monetary exchanges that go in and out of the group, degrading the body with unhealthy diets and sleep deprivation, maintaining control of personal and sexual lives, with creation of anxiety, fear, confusion, and even joy through surrender to the group. Inducing crises so members submit and remain submissive to the leaders is a hallmark of a common cult group leader. Finally, with bizarre behaviors in mind, I don't feel it is helpful to discuss cultic groups without some general information to help someone who may feel like their loved one is being courted by a cultic organization. The most important step is to maintain lines of communication and keep them open at all times. The cult wants to cut lines between the member and the family, and they want the person to believe that they are the only ones that understand them. Keeping the lines of communication open and remaining neutral and understanding is proving the cult doctrine wrong. Now, over the past few minutes, we have identified general cultic groups, leaders, and behavior, as well as learned tips to help those that we feel may be courted by cultic organizations. We have established that a cult isn't always religious with purpose, but that charismatic leaders tend to favor narcissistic personalities that claim special divinities and make them more powerful. We've also discovered that the typical member isn't mentally unstable, but maybe looking for answers or acceptance, and the way to help these people is to establish communication and support with them. I believe there is power in knowledge, and I encourage my listeners to cruise around the attached slideshow, as well as to research and learn more for themselves about cultic organizations. Thank you.